Hi guys, today we're going to talk about using academic sources in your writing. It's really important that you choose credible academic sources to support your ideas so that your writing is reliable and trustworthy. So you may have seen in your life skills class or another research class the idea of finding credible sources using the CRAAP method. So let's look at what the CRAAP method means. So we have C for current. This means that the information is up to date, it's recent, it's not outdated based on the information, the topic. It's reliable. The publication can be trusted. It produces honest information. It's accurate, meaning that the information included is correct. It's not mistaken or full of wrong information. It's accountable, meaning that the writer is qualified and knowledgeable to be writing about their subject. And it's purposeful. The motive behind the publication is reliable and honest. They're not trying to trick the reader or sell information or get you to believe something that's not necessarily true or real. So what are some examples of academic sources? Well, we have books, we have magazines and newspapers, and not all magazines and newspapers are considered academic. Those that are based on researched articles and highly qualified contributors are considered academic. However, those that are based on entertainment and popular ideas, these are not considered academic sources. These are considered pop sources. Then we have academic journal articles, and then we try to stick to a certain kinds of reliable websites when we're searching online, because this is the most common way to find sources in modern times. So we look for websites that end in .edu, .org, .net, .gov. We try to stay away from .coms unless we know that the source is reliable, such as a trusted local newspaper, maybe a .com, but we know that we can trust the information because we know what the source is. I know that a lot of people use Wikipedia as a website, and it can be a good place to start to find other sources. A good Wikipedia article will be cited, and it will have a reference list at the end of the article. And this is sometimes a good place to find articles for your own research. We prefer in academic settings not to use Wikipedia articles as reference sources. So using source material in your writing, there's two ways to do this. The first way is to paraphrase, and the second way is to quote the writing. What paraphrasing does is it includes the source's ideas, but in your own words. So we did this before when we were talking about summarizing. You had to paraphrase the writer's ideas, but you wrote it in your own way. Paraphrasing keeps the original meaning. It uses synonyms, it changes word forms, adjusts sentence structure, but everything is done in your own words. And at the end of the paragraph, or at the end of the sentence, depending on how long your citation or how long your information is, you're going to cite the source. And we'll talk about how to do that a little bit later in this video. The second option for including material in your writing from a source is to quote. And quoting has you include the source's words exactly how they were written or spoken. So you're going to take the source's information exactly the way you see it, and it's included in your writing. However, you can't just take the source's words and stick them in your paragraph and that's it. You have to introduce the words with a reporting tag. So something like according to the author, or in his article, or you take a chunk of a sentence and include it in your own sentence. Now it's really important that when you quote information, you include the citation at the end of that sentence. Anytime you use a quotation mark, you have to use a citation at the end of the sentence to tell where the information comes from. And words that you've copied directly from a source, you should use quotation marks around them. So now we're going to look at some examples of paraphrasing and quotations in writing. From this first example, we're looking at a paraphrased bit of information from a personal interview. So this paragraph is talking about changes in healthcare, and in order to get this information, the writer completed a personal interview. And then they took the story that they were told and they rewrote it in their own words. So you can see there's no quotation marks. The information underlined is paraphrased, but at the end of the paraphrase, you see that there is a source citation. So we have the last name of the person who was interviewed and the year of the interview. In this second example, we're looking at the source of Gulf News, which is a local publication and newspaper. And again, we're paraphrasing. So if you look at the underlined sentence, you'll see that there are specific details that come from the article, but it's not quoted because we're not taking the actual sentence and putting it in the paragraph. It's rewritten in the writer's own words, but because there are bits of information that are specific to the article, such as the date, the 1970s, we have the source, we have the author's last name, and the year of publication at the end of the sentence. Again, we're looking at the underlined sentence in the middle of the paragraph. So in this third example, we're looking at a combination of a paraphrase with a quotation. So if you see the underlined sentence at the end of the paragraph, you'll see that the information from the Gulf News source, which is cited at the end, includes a phrase or a chunk of words that has been quoted from the original source. And this is the way that it would look in your paragraph if you take actual words from the original source and use it in your sentence. And then this is an example of citing the same source in a paragraph, but you have different sentences throughout. So for example, the first underlined sentence has to be cited because there are specific references to the text. There's data, there's years, there's numbers of facilities and pharmacies, so there has to be a citation there, because even though there's no quotation marks, when you use specific information like numbers or dates from the article, it's the same as quoting. So we have to cite the source at the end of the sentence. But then again, at the end of the paragraph, where we've included more information from the same source, we include another citation with the last name and the author's, the year of publication. Now the reason that we included two citations is because the sentence that comes between is not from a source. It's written from the writer's ideas. All right, so to go through what references look like, these days there are citation generators online that you can use. You can get help and assistance to determine how to write your references. But we've talked about this before several times through the semester, and as a reminder, we're using APA format. But this is the way that your references look. And as we go through, you can see what each part of this reference is. So the first thing we have is the author's last name and the first initial. The second bit is the year of the publication or the year of the interview if you do a live interview. And this is the date that you'll use in the citation in the paragraphs. Then we have the title of the article in the second case, or we have where this information came from. In the first source, it came from a personal interview. Then we have the location of the interview, and we have the title of the publication. For the last part of the second source, we have the full hyperlink, including when this article was taken from the internet. So this was retrieved from the internet on the 5th of November, 2018. Still, it was written in 2011, so you use the 2011 in your internal citation in the paragraph. All right, a few notes about references. First, when you make a reference list, references are placed in alphabetical order, A, B, C order. This is based on the first letter of the reference. Note number 2, if there's no author for the article, then you would move the title of the article before the date. So for example, if the second article, the second source had no author, we would move Healthcare Has Come a Long Way before 2011. And then in note 3, book references should also include publisher and publication city information, and this can be found on the publication page behind the title page. Now, all of this may be new for many of you or most of you, and the most important thing is that when you find your sources, you keep the hyperlink, the website address. If you keep that, then I can help you with the actual construction of your references before you finish your assignment. All right, so what's next? Your job next is to search for references. You need to find a minimum of 2 references and a maximum of 4 references for your essay. I don't want more than 4 because I don't want this to turn into a researched article. You're using the references to support your ideas. You're not supporting the references. And you need to upload the links to these 2 to 4 references to your Google Drive file. So the same place that you uploaded your brainstorming and your outline, you need to post the links. Okay? These sources must be approved before you start taking notes. Once I've approved them, you can start reading the sources and taking your notes. All right? You can do this on the article itself if you have a computer program, or you can type your notes in a Google Doc file. In order to save the links to your file, you can either copy-paste the link directly to the file, or you can open a document, save the links on a document, and then upload that document to your file. But I have to be able to visit your links to make sure that they are okay. I'm going to stop here. The next video is going to look at a credible source checklist to help you decide whether or not your sources are appropriate and meet the CRAAP method to ensure credibility and reliability. So click over to that video next, and we'll continue on with this discussion.